Hi everyone and welcome to Make It Happen TV. I'm Spencer Lodge and this is Facebook Live every Wednesday where I try and do my best to try and add some value by teaching you aspects of sales, other things relating to sales, the sales process, objections that you face, prospects that you have challenges with, how you prospect, how you sell online, how you sell offline, how you sell through webinars, how you sell through seminars, how you sell one-to-one, how you sell one-to-many. Okay, all of these aspects of what we discuss. So first of all, thanks very much for joining me. How you doing? Secondly, can I ask you to do a few things for me, please? Number one, can you like the page? I would really appreciate it. Number two, can you subscribe on our YouTube channel? I would really appreciate it. Number three, can you really engage with me, please, today? So if you're coming to join me, it matters a lot to me that you engage. So ask questions, leave comments, let me know if I'm giving you the information that you need, and if I'm not, what information I can give you to help answer the questions that you need answering. So if you're my audience, then you'll either be a salesperson who works as a direct salesperson. On top of that, you might be a commission-only salesperson that doesn't get paid any basic salary and just has to go and do it. You might be a long sales cycle salesperson, a short sales cycle salesperson. On top of that, what else could you be? You could be a network marketer. So if you're a network marketer out there, okay, you're having to generate revenue and you need to make sales. What about a sales manager, a sales director, a team leader? Those types of people, if you're any of those, then guess what? You're in the right place. If you're a small business owner and you've got to bring revenue through your doors, then I'm the guy to help you with that too. So if you're those types of people, then guess what? You're perfect for this environment. So loads of enthusiasm, lots of fun. We're going to go into dealing with something today which seems to be a problem for many people, okay? And that's closing techniques, okay? Closing techniques. So what are closing techniques? Well, essentially when you've got a prospect, when you've got somebody you're trying to get over the line to become a client, become a customer, it's really important, that you know what the stages are that you have to go through to get them over the line. A lot of the time, I speak to salespeople working for companies. I even spoke to somebody just today. And I said, what kind of training are you getting on your sales process? And they said, nothing. The only training we get is the stuff that I do with you, Spencer. Nothing else is given by the company. I've joined a company, they think I know what I'm doing, and they've said, just crack on with it, get on. And do you know what? That happens an awful lot. So if you're that kind of person that doesn't get much sales training and much sales training support, then let me know. Write in the comments box that you're not getting much of that. It's really important to me that I know that. Today I'm joined with Lizzie. Say hi, Lizzie. Thank you very much. And Amma, say hi, Amma.
Woohoo, Amma.
What you don't know is behind the camera is obviously where they are in the studio here, but behind the camera there's a mirror. So I not only can see you looking at you in the camera, well, I can't see you, I can see the camera lens, but on top of that I can see myself behind the camera, okay, and I've got Amma and Lizzie there as well. So we try and have as much fun as we can, so please come and join us and join in the fun. Okay, so what do you struggle with when it comes to closing? Okay, what kind of issues do you have? I've got a load of questions here that have been emailed across to me. I'll go through those in a minute. Okay, what types of closes do you miss out on? Okay, so there's one close that I find is used an awful lot by people in sales, okay, which ends up meaning that a close doesn't take place. And I call it the talk too much close. Now you might wonder what that is, but the talk too much close. Hi, you're Ben, how are you? And thanks for joining us. Thank you very much, Emma. We got that on there, okay? Yeah, we're fine. Okay, the talk too much close is a close that seems to happen a lot with unprofessional salespeople, where they talk their way into the sale and they talk their way out the other side of the sale again. Guys, come and join me, please. I know there's a bunch of you on there right now. I can see it on the screen here. Come and say hi. Just come and join us. Say hi. Let me know that you're there, okay, so that I can greet you and welcome you into the group. It means a lot to me that I know you're there, so please come and say hi. Aunt, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so the talk too much close. This is something that I find goes on an awful lot. So the sale starts, okay, i.e. the build-up. So rapport is good, okay, introduction is good, okay, learning or the fact find about what you need to learn about the client, okay, is good. But then when it comes to closing, okay, there's just not enough questions, there's too much talking, and that too much talking means that the person who is the prospect starts to lose interest. So I really want you to think about if you're one of those types of people. Cameron, how are you? Hi, Karen, how are you? Abdul Rahman, how are you? Nice to see you. Stephanie, how you doing? Again, guys, just come and ask me your questions. Don't sit in the background. I really want to know who you are. Ian Haney's over in Brazil. Hi, Haney, how are you? I hope everything's going well and Brazil aren't too disappointed after losing out on the World Cup. So there's so many closing techniques. I'm going to go through as many as I can in the next half an hour. But this is something I want you to think about, okay, of yourself. Do you talk too much? Now, it's a hard thing to acknowledge, all right? It really is a really hard thing to acknowledge. But have you lost sales where people have lost interest while they've been talking to you? Have you, if you were to sit and record, okay, your sales scenario, you one-to-one with a prospect that you're hoping to become a client, have you recorded it and listened back to it and listened to what you've said and listened to what you haven't said? And if you think about the ratio of the amount of time you should talk and the amount of time your prospect should talk, that should be very, very simply 75-25. Now, I bet some of you are thinking, well, okay, so I talk for 75 and the prospect talks for 25. Nah, that's not what happens. What happens is, okay, the prospect has to talk for 75% of the time, and you talk for 25% of the time. And nearly everything that you're talking about when you're with your prospect is a question. And by asking those questions, you've got a much better chance of that prospect, if you let them talk, taking you over the line. So if you talk too much, you're going to lose out on opportunities. So bear that in mind, okay? Welcome to the group, everybody. Who else we got? Come and join us, guys. Come and say hi. Kapil, how are you, mate? Nice to see you. Come and join us. Craig's on board as well. Lisa McCall is on. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Long time no speak. Okay, so what other closing techniques, okay, do we know that exist out there that we don't use ourselves? Well, a lot of the time, the most common one, more than anything else, like anything else in the world, is this one. I don't ask. The salesperson doesn't ask. So, one closing technique that you should always make sure you use is an ask for the business technique. Mr. Prospect, are you happy with what you've seen so far? Do you think I'm the person that's going to add the right amount of value to you so that you can become a client? Does the product do what you want it to do? Is the company good enough company for you? You're happy with what the company does? If you're happy with the price, if you're happy with your need for this product, Mr. Prospect, can I ask you a question? Can we go ahead now and do some business, please? Now, that's a really easy thing to do. So easy, and so easy for professional salespeople to identify with that and do that because they do it subconsciously. But many of you that are learning to be as good as you possibly can be, unfortunately, fear what might happen if you ask. So we don't ask. We don't ask because guess what? If we ask, what could happen? They could say no. And I'd rather them not say no, okay, than say nothing at all. So you've got to get them to say no, because remember something, it's not until you get an objection from somebody that you actually start selling anyway. Up until that time, when you've got agreement all the way through, you're not selling, you're just having a conversation. When somebody says to you, no, when somebody says to you, let me think about it, when somebody says to you, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough interest, that's when a professional salesperson starts doing their job, starts executing their skill. So when you get to that type of place with your prospect, they say no and you go, oh my God, they've said no, what am I going to do? I'm going to fall apart. Guess what? That's when your job starts. That's when your professional sales skills kick into play. And if they're sat in your subconscious, they just come straight out and you use them literally like bullets, like a sniper would shoot, okay, to aim and fire and use them to take the problem away and to get the client over the line. Hi, Steve. How are you? Nice to see you on board. Irfan, nice to see you. How are you? Guys, come and ask questions. I'm going through closing techniques. Okay, I've got a bunch of you on. What's your favorite closing technique? What's the one that you've had most success with in the past? It's a really good one. Okay, that's from Karen. My favorite closing technique, okay, has always been the assumed close. So when I'm with my prospect, I always assume they're going to become a client. So I talk to them as if they are already a client, okay? So every part of my conversation is, Mr. Prospect, if is never what we say. When you become a client of ours, this is what you get as a benefit. When you become a client of ours, when we're working together, in the future, when we're actually doing this together, Mr. Prospect, you'll find that you see this and you see that. So all of what I'm doing is based around a complete assumption that they're going to become a client. Because I'm assuming they are. Because I know what I offer is valuable. I know the benefits that I bring, and if I know and I believe in myself and I believe in the skills that I can bring, and so when I add all of the things up and think about the benefit that the prospect's going to have from dealing with me, I then know that they're better off with me than without me, so I assume the sale. Now, some of you out there might sell stuff that you don't really believe in. You might sell a product or a service that you don't really believe in. And if that's you, then my advice really would be not to sell it. My advice would be to go and sell something else if you want to sell something. Sell something you really can get behind emotionally, okay, get behind professionally, you can commit to because you really do believe it's a good quality product. One of our clients out there, sells concrete furniture, okay? So it's beautifully made. When you hear the sound of it, it's like, concrete furniture, what's that? Beautifully made tables, cabinets, all different kinds of things made out of concrete with LED lights in them so they all look beautiful and whatnot. Whenever I talk to Arndt about it, he's really passionate about the product, you know. He's really passionate about the value that it is to the client. He really believes that people should have this, you know, hard wearing. You know, over here in the UAE, everything rots out in the wind and the sun and the sand and the dust, but he really believes in it. And so when you listen to him talk about it, he talks about it with a massive amount of conviction. He's not talking about it going, yeah, you know what, we've got some concrete furniture, it's all right, I don't mind it, you know, it's concrete furniture. No, that's not how he demonstrates that. He demonstrates it with some passion and enthusiasm because he believes in it. So think about what you're selling. Do you believe in what you sell? Do you believe, you know, James Hood, how you doing, mate, on board? Who else? We've got a bunch of you on there. Odette, how are you? Nice to see you. Okay, should one compromise on commission for sharing for closing? There's another one here. I'm going to go through that in a minute, but actually I'll do it now. This is from Cameron. This is one of the simple ways to deal with this. This is essentially a cash, money, comms, close. There are some people out there that you do business with who are cheap. All right, they're cheap buyers. They want the cheapest price they can get. They don't care about the value that you bring. They just want the cheapest price they can get. They're cheap people. I hate dealing with cheap people. Cheap people don't understand value and worth. I run seminars sometimes, and people say at seminars, are the seminars free? Okay, all they're worried about is not spending any money. They want something, but they don't want to pay for it. Now that's someone who's cheap to me, because if you're going to go somewhere and someone's going to give you their skills, surely there's a value to that learning experience. So people that are cheap generally ask for a discount. So the question is, okay, should one compromise on commission for sharing, commission sharing for closing? No. Because it's a simple set of scales. Now, forgive my drawing here, but I'm going to try and draw a simple set of scales. Okay? Now, if the scales aren't level where everybody wins, then what happens is there is an unhappy party. So let's say that's the salesperson, and let's say that's the buyer. Okay? Salesperson, buyer. If the salesperson makes, okay, too much money and those scales go down, then invariably the buyer's going to lose out. If the salesperson doesn't make any money and the scales go down in the favor of the buyer, then the salesperson's going to lose out. Now we know as salespeople, if we don't get paid for what we do or get paid the fair amount of money that we deserve for what we do, then invariably we don't have a very strong, fond, close bond with our client. We feel a little bit hard done by. And the client also, if they don't get value for money, they feel a little bit hard done by. But there has to be a value to you. You bring value, and if you bring value, then it's only fair that you get something and they get something, so everybody leaves with a warm, fuzzy feeling. I know that most people that buy understand that, because most people that buy work for a company that sells something, and often you'll find those people understand that everything has to represent value. So if you're dealing with people that are really cheap, the way of closing those types of people is to say to them, look, at the end of the day, you can go out and find the cheapest deal out there in the marketplace. You genuinely can. And I'm sure there'll be places out there, if you spend some time, effort and energy, that you can research to find something a little bit cheaper. But the time that it's taken you to do that has been wasted. Remember, Mr. Prospect, you might pay a little bit more, okay, by dealing with me, but I have a family just like you, I've got kids just like you, and I need to feed my kids just like you do. Don't you think our relationship would be so much better if we had a win-win situation where you got a benefit from dealing with me, which is what I provided to you. I got a benefit because I got paid fairly for what I did. I believe that's the best way for anybody to work in business, because when there's a negotiation, two parties have to benefit. If you're unhappy and you just want the cheapest deal and you don't care who you deal with and you're not interested in the value I bring, just tell me that right now. Tell me to my face so I know where I stand with you. I can move on and find new clients, no problem. But if I'm going to deal with you, I want you to know that my relationship with you is a long-term relationship. And I'm going to make sure that I do my absolute best for you from now going forward. If I get what's fair and you get what's fair, then we both win, and that relationship's just beautiful and warm and fuzzy and trustworthy and reliable for the foreseeable future. What do you reckon? Do you think that makes sense for you and me? Yes or no, Mr. Prospect? Let's get the paperwork done and get going. Does that make sense? Give me your thoughts on that, okay? Give me your thoughts on how you feel about that. Hi, Justin, how are you? Odette, questions for me. Okay, Cameron, hopefully that answered that question. Asil, where's your question? How do you deal with a procrastinator? Kapil, how do you deal with a procrastinator? That's a closing scenario. Let's get on with that one. Hold on a minute, let me turn the page over. So, a procrastinator. What is a procrastinator? They either, have, no need, maybe no money, no time, no interest, or a procrastinator may not trust you. Okay? If they don't trust you, they might procrastinate. You may not have found the solution to their need. And if you haven't found a solution, you might think they need it. There's lots of times, Kapil, you sell financial services. So a lot of the time, you actually know that somebody needs to buy a life insurance policy, for example. You know it makes sense for them to have it. Because you're well experienced in that area and you understand the subject, you have this kind of conviction in your mind where like, that guy needs it. But if he doesn't believe he needs it as much as you, then you haven't done your job properly. He has to tell you, I need it and I need it now. So you have to extract those comments or sentences or words from your prospect. Kapil, I need this and I need it now. That's when procrastination stops. So when it comes to life insurance, some of the closes I would use, Mr. Prospect, just imagine you were driving down the highway today, you got in a car accident and you didn't go home tonight. What would happen to your wife and kids? Now that sounds like a hard-hitting question, but just imagine if that happened. What's the answer to that? Oh, I don't know, that won't happen to me. How many times have people said that won't happen to me when people have been struck down with cancer, had a heart attack and died, a stroke and died a few weeks later, they've been in a car accident, cyclists, I'm a cyclist, people are getting hit on their bikes, at the weekend when there's no one on the roads, hit 5 o'clock in the morning when the roads are empty, a drunk driver hitting them and killing them. This kind of stuff happens regularly all over the world, and it never happens when someone expects it to happen. It only ever happens when they don't expect it to happen. Mr. Prospect, if you don't have life cover, what is the situation that you're going to face yourself with if you die in the future, or your family are going to face with, if you die in the future? You don't know when it's going to happen. You could live to be 85, 95, 100 years old. Guess what? You could. But if you didn't, and if it did happen, you're basically saying for a small premium every month, you're not prepared to protect the future of your family. That doesn't make any sense to me. Does that make sense to you? When it comes to, Kapil, your financial advisor as well, financial services, retirement, you're 65 years old and you're broke and you've got no money. What are you going to do, Mr. Prospect? So closes can be built into disturbs. A lot of the time a close doesn't happen at the end of the sales process. Asking for the business can happen at the end, but a lot of the time you're actually making a sale midway through the sales process. And then the deal is done then. So bear that one in mind. Hopefully that's answered that question for you, Kapil. Come back to me some more if you've got some more. What other questions have you got for me? Irfan, guys, other questions? Lisa, give me a question. Okay, I'll answer them for you. Okay, let's just go through some of the questions that I've got from people, and I've got some more. Okay, I've got loads of content for you tonight, so please stay on the line. Come and tell me, where's my likes? Where's my thumbs ups? Where's my hearts? Man, where's my hearts, man? Come on, guys. I want some enthusiasm. I want some engagement. Let's get that done. Come and join me. Okay, thank you, Kapil. All right, Sarah Porter from Los Angeles. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Hi, Spencer. Are there specific steps to closing a sale? My boss says that I should have tried and tested formula for closing, but I usually just wing it. Well, first of all, Sarah, if your boss says you should have a tried and tested formula, maybe you should be his boss. Because if he's not giving you the process that you need to use in that company, then what kind of a boss is he? Everything that is sold, okay, is a tangible and intangible. It's a service or a product, okay. So there's a process that should be adopted for everything that's sold. You must take people through stages, regardless of what you're selling. You can't just expect people to go, yes, can I buy all of the time? You've got to understand that people aren't necessarily sure. They haven't necessarily weighed up value against price. What's it worth to them? They don't know whether it actually fits or it doesn't fit. They don't know whether they need it or they don't need it. They don't have any time to deal with it. So you've got to take people through a process, and that process has to include learning about your prospect. And learning about your prospect is asking lots of detailed, open-ended questions. Build rapport. Once you've built rapport, explain what you do and the value you bring. Once you've done that, learn about that prospect. Learn about their needs, their wants, their desires. Learn about their frustrations. Learn about the problems they have. Think about the solution that you could bring to their problems. And then provide a solution to their problem. And if you provide a solution to their problem and the problem's big enough in their mind, as long as the cost is equal to the value to them, then there's a deal to be had, a sale to be made, and the winner is the client and the winner is the salesperson. In terms of winging it, don't think you should, okay? I'm a highly trained, highly experienced, 27 years in sales type of person, okay? And I don't wing it, and so I don't think you should. Okay, hopefully that answers it. Irfan, these strategies common on any continent. I don't know what you're saying there, Irfan. Are these strategies common on any continent? Guess what? Doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what nationality you are, what background you have, rich, poor, doesn't matter any of that. The strategies apply everywhere because we're all human beings. And if you find solutions to people's problems, then invariably people will buy, okay? If people are cheap, I think that might be what you're associating with, guess what? Okay? There are some people out there that are cheap. Remember, you don't have to do business with everybody. Not everybody is going to like and love what you do. You don't have to do business with everybody. If people are cheap sometimes and they don't understand the benefit of there being a win-win, don't do business with them. Don't sacrifice your commission and your pride, okay, and your value just so that you can get a deal over the line. That's just a pointless exercise. Okay, I hope that's answered it, okay? Make sure you deliver a good job service. That's the best seller ever. Yes, you can. That's really important, Art. But more importantly, remember that you don't always get a chance to do that when you negotiate at the beginning. And what does every salesperson say? I deliver the best service, okay? What does everyone say? My product's best. So buyers hear this all the time. They're a bit tired of it, okay? So you have to make sure that you negotiate in the right way, through the right structure. And when they've become a client, you've heard the term under promise and over deliver. Don't ever do that. This is what I do. Over-promise and over-deliver. That's even better, so consider that, okay? John Leach from Joburg says, hi Spencer, I sell financial services. When do I know my prospect is ready to be closed? I always get this wrong and end up getting objections galore when I bring out any paperwork and ask for signature. Okay, you don't always get objections. And I'm not suggesting you particularly, sorry John. Salespeople don't always get objections. They sometimes get complaints. And complaints are when people go, I could get it a bit cheaper down the road, or such and such does this, or such and such does that. If they really believed that they could get it cheaper down the road, why they sat with you? If they really believed that your competitor could do X or Y, why are they not sat with your competitor? A lot of the time they're not objections, it's just noise. So you just have to bat it to one side, and just carry on as normal. I ignore lots of complaints. I deal with genuine objections. I don't deal with complaints. Now, your question is, when do I know my prospect is ready to be closed? When you've asked the right questions and when they say to you, John, I need it and I need it now. If you can get them to say that, your deal is done. The client is the client. More questions we've got, guys. What else have we got? Hi Sarah, how are you? Guys, come and join me, please. If you're sitting in the background, okay, come and join me. Ask your questions. I want to help you. If you've got a closing problem, okay, none of you are closing as many deals as you could. There's some situations that you're getting wrong. So tell me what that problem is. I'll try and fix it for you right now. Right on here on this live, I'll try and fix it for you. Okay. Abdurrahman, how to identify objections from noise. A genuine objection from noise. Again, the problem most people have is they think everything's an objection, so they try and handle the objection. The first thing I do with every objection is I just knock it to one side and I carry on as normal. Someone says, oh, it's really expensive. Yeah? Oh, that isn't the kind of service I want. Well, yeah. it's just noise a lot of the time. And people feel sometimes that they need to give you an objection because they don't want to be a walkover. Sometimes they think that you need to kind of like fight for the sale, and they need to be a more resistant buyer. But remember that a lot of people just do that as a token gesture type of thing. And if you allow that to become a thing, then it becomes a bigger thing, and then they start selling themselves on it. So I'm just like, well, yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, well, look at it. But you do get me, remember. I come as part of the package. So guess what? You get me. Anyway, shall we move on and deal with what's important here and get you the product that you need so it can satisfy that problem that you've got? So that's the way that I would deal with it. Very assertive, very forceful, no nonsense. I care passionately about my clients and them getting the best deal possible for them, the best value they can get while dealing with me. I care about solving their problems, finding solutions to their problems. And because I care so much, it comes out of me. Like I care about you. I could be watching Game of Thrones right now, but I'm sat here with you, giving you guys as much knowledge as I can for free, okay, because I want you to do well, I want you to be successful. I don't need to pay for all of this equipment, all that stuff. I do it to add as much value as I possibly can. Hopefully that makes sense. Abdul Rahman, come and ask me some more questions. Right, next question. Yogesh Sinha from Dubai. Can reverse psychology help you to close a sale? The other day I tried it with a client and I said that they probably wouldn't be interested in my new products because they never try anything new. And guess what? They went for it. There you go. How else does reverse psychology work, and should I incorporate it into all of my closing techniques? No, not all of your closing techniques, but some of them. All right. It was used on me. I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, about 26 years old, was when I went to buy my first Ferrari, and I went to a Ferrari showroom. It was raining outside, and I was said to myself, right, I'm going to get a Ferrari. Lots of good money. I'd done really well for myself, and so I was like, that was my prize, you know. And as a young man, you know, when we've got egos and all that kind of stuff, and status matters. Okay, I went to buy my first Ferrari, and I went to the dealership, and there was a little bit of rain outside, and I went in and I looked at the cars, and I said to the sales guy, I really like this car, and so he talked me through the car, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's wonderful, it's the one that I want. I said, can I test drive it, please? He looked at me, he was like, no. We don't do test drives in the rain. And I'm like, well, I can't buy it without test driving it. He said, yeah, I'm really sorry, but we can't do that. And I was like, really? Now, I noticed that I was pretty much the only one that wasn't getting the kind of treatment everybody else was getting. And the reality of the situation is that salesperson didn't believe I was a qualified buyer. He didn't think I had enough money to buy. I was young, I was 26. You know, the car was $150,000 or whatever it was, a lot of money, and he just didn't think I had the capacity. So that situation turned psychology backwards on me, because I then went to another dealership and bought the same car from a different dealership, and then took it back to that dealership to show the salesman that I'd bought it somewhere else, and kind of like stick two fingers up to him. He was trying to demonstrate reverse psychology on me to kind of make me want it and fight for it more, but it didn't work in that situation. But in many situations, reverse psychology can work. And if it does work, it works really efficiently, okay, when you talk to people about price, you know. Sometimes, you know, have you ever been somewhere where someone might say to you, maybe it's a bit outside your price range? When someone says to you, it's a bit outside your price range, your first reaction is, no, it's not. It's not outside my price range. And immediately you're like, no, hold on a minute. No, I can afford that. And you might end up spending more money than you want to. That's a great example of reverse psychology working. And they do that a lot in jeweler shops. You'll go to jeweler shops, and men like watches and ladies like all the other stuff, but men like watches. And sometimes they say, well, maybe that's a bit outside your budget. Would you like to try the cheaper one? And what's your first reaction? No, I don't want to try the cheaper one, thank you very much. And you'll find a way to do it. Okay. Sometimes when you're dating somebody in the early stages of a relationship, and you know, she said, "Oh, you know, are you sure we can afford this?" Of course we can afford this. Well, I don't think we can afford it. Of course we can. That's all reverse psychology working. So there are times when it can be used, and there's times when it can't. Okay. Thanks, Ramesh. I find people are closed-minded, don't want to be helped in an opportunity not to be missed. Hold on, let me just get this right, Katie. I find people are closed-minded, don't want to be helped in an opportunity not to be missed. Okay, Katie, can you do me a favor? Can you just retype that comment just so I can get it a bit clearer? Because I want to make sure I answer that for you and deal with it. Okay. Stephanie, I'm a yoga teacher based in Copenhagen and provide workshops, courses, etc. For example, for stress management or anxiety. I want to sell to the everyday person and make it more accessible rather than just for hippies and alternative people, so market it as a more science-based, study-backed rather than new age love and rainbows. Okay, that's fair. I find it difficult to make people understand that these products are an investment in their health. People feel it's not important enough, postpone it for later, and they don't feel they need it now, or that healthcare or that the healthcare is so good, and massage, acupuncture, etc., can be free, whereas yoga isn't. Okay, well, you need third-party testimonials. Stephanie, I had spinal fusion surgery twice on my lower back. Yoga and Pilates were the key foundations of the rebuild of my back and building the muscles up in that area after I had these plates and rods and all kinds of crazy stuff put in my back. And I am the kind of person that would talk, I talk to everybody about them doing yoga and Pilates as being a good thing. And I'm kind of like a manly guy. So, if you need to find people like me that can be your third-party recommendation, this will close a lot of people off. Get some videos from people that do yoga that aren't hippies, that aren't walking around in those leotards, okay, that use yoga to help them fix something. And then they can see the benefit. I've tried acupuncture. What a joke that is. Loads of needles in my back. That's a waste of time. Okay. And massage, but guess what? Massage is okay, but it's not yoga, is it? It's not the kind of thing that we need. So, Steph, honestly, okay, get some third-party recommendations. It'll help you close a lot more people. Get a short reel video made of 3 or 4 people saying, this is where I was, this is where I am, this is what yoga did for me. I can't believe it. There's a video online of a guy. He was a fat guy that had a walking stick. He was a Vietnam veteran and he started doing yoga. He was in a wheelchair and everything. He started doing yoga with this guy in the States. And you'll find it on YouTube. It's a great video. And he lost a load of weight doing yoga and he started to run again. If that's not a great advert for anybody's marketing yoga, then I don't know what is. I genuinely don't know what is because it's a very powerful story to tell. Go and look for that. I don't know what it's called. Type into YouTube, man does yoga to get out of wheelchair, or man does yoga to lose weight and start running. There's definitely a video out there. Stephanie, okay, you know that one. Okay, brilliant. Okay, get that one. Katie, let's go back to you. I find people who are closed-minded because I have an opportunity not to be. I don't get that. I find people who are closed-minded because I have an opportunity not to be missed. Katie, I need some help here, hun. Okay, can you write that differently for me so I can understand it? I really want to help you with this. Can I answer it differently? Andrew, well done, Spencer. Spencer is great at what he does. Listen to what he learns. Okay, cheers. Well, thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate that, mate. Really kind. Okay, Stephanie, hopefully that's answered that. Please, 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 throw those questions at me right now. I want to know. Can you do me a favor, everyone? Can you share this to your audience? Can you share this live right now? There's a button on your screen. Can you just press share and everyone then can see it? All of your friends can see it and then they can ask questions and join us as well and it'll add value to them. So just do me a favor. Come on, I'm giving you something. Do me a favor in return. Just click that share button and let lots of people see it. I'd be eternally grateful. Right, let's answer a couple more questions. Eugene from Dublin. How do I overcome objections? They always throw me off and I land up getting defensive and irritated by my prospects when they start messing with my closes. Eugene, get back to school, mate. That's a really stinking bad attitude to have. I get defensive and irritated with my prospects when they start messing with my closes. They're not messing with their closes. You're messing with your closes. Come on, Eugene. That's a lousy attitude. I'm not even going to give you an answer for that. You're better than that, mate. Don't get frustrated with people because you're not closing them. Don't get frustrated with what they say. Think about what you're doing. Take responsibility yourself. There's no point you projecting it out on anyone else. People don't buy because of something you did, not because of something they did. People don't buy because of your behavior, not their behavior. You have to understand that. It's always on you. It's your responsibility. So take it on board. Never get frustrated or irritated. Accept that everyone's different and accept you've got to do a better job than you're doing. And you will if you accept that. You won't if you don't. Okay. Thanks, She. Thanks very much. Come on, guys. Press the share button. Press the share button. Okay. Kelly Lancy from Dubai. When is the right time to talk about money? Can this be brought up in the first meeting or only after I've done my research at the second meeting? Oh my gosh. Talk about money all the time. Money's important. But do we talk about price or cost, or do we talk about value and worth? Because a lot of the time people say, how much is this going to cost me? How much do I have to pay? A lot of people talk a lot of the time, how much is the investment I need to make? It's all negative words around what you're actually getting. What does it matter what it costs? What you've got to know is what it can do for you, and is it worth it? Is it worth it? So I sell an online training course on my university that I sell at my seminars, and that course is $1,997 when I sell them at the seminars, okay, or $1,999, something like that, plus that. That course, if that's not worth $2,000, it's not about paying $2,000. It's about what you're going to get. My skills and my knowledge and my course will double everybody's sales, period. And you can have your money back if I don't do it. Now, I know that. Now, if doubling your sales from where you are currently isn't going to give you $2,000 more, okay, of revenue, of commission, of income, then to be honest with you, you might want to think about what you do for a living. But I'm convinced that the value I can bring is worth 10, 1,000, 100 times more than $2 measly $1,000. Now, some people might go, well, that sounds like a lot of money. Stop thinking about price. Start thinking about value and worth. And every single one of your clients, you have to get that in. So what I do is I get charges and fees out on the table at the beginning. I make sure that everyone's aware what they're going to get, okay, and what they're going to have to spend to get that. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the meeting convincing them that the value they're going to get from it is way more than the money they have to spend. Doesn't matter what it is. On my watch, okay, I decided that I wanted this more than I wanted the money. So I spent the money on this expensive watch because it was worth more to me to have the watch than it was to have the money in my hand. Everything you guys buy, your jewelry, your cars, your furniture, your landscaping, your lawnmower, your tools in your garage, you have decided that those things are worth more to you than the money in your hand. That is worth more than the money. And if it's worth more to you than that, then you make the transaction. If it's not worth more to you, then you don't. You go, no, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. This is important when we're in front of our clients to understand. People are intelligent people. Lots of people can do research on their phones while they're talking to you about the price of things. So guess what? That's no problem getting out there and talking about the cost, the investment, the price, the value, the worth of anything and everything that you do. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay, share it. Nathan, how are you? Thanks for joining us. I've got a client right now. This is Abdul Rahman. He says, I've got a client right now and he's confused in choosing between different types of products. How to start with him? A good conversation to make him enthusiastic and certain. Okay, when you give people lots of options, okay, they get paralysis from analysis. So it's really important that you don't give people lots of options because it's not good for them. When they've got lots of things to consider, they can't make a decision easily. What's the problem? And how are you going to fix it? What is the best product to solve that problem? You know, as the expert in your area, as the professional, the best product to solve that problem. Now, the best product may not make you as much as another product in terms of commissions or fees. Doesn't matter. Solve the problem the best way possible. Give them the solution and then they will buy. A lot of the time people come in trying to sell or market a product and it's so crazy. Why don't you start by finding out people's problems and then find a solution, give them the solution, exchange it for money or whatever it is they pay with, okay? They get the worth and the value, solution to problem solved. You get reimbursed with money for the work you've done. That to me is the answer, Abdul Rahman. Hopefully that can help you. Katie, right, I know people who are closed-minded because they're not open to the opportunity, what I have to offer them. I get silence from them and I can read people's body language. So, okay, interesting. I know people are closed-minded. If people are closed-minded, that doesn't mean they can't be open-minded. That means you haven't opened their minds. And a lot of the time that comes from tell-selling. Now, tell-selling is people that talk all the time. They talk. They tell. They talk themselves into the sale and out the other side of the sale. It doesn't give a chance for those closed-minded people to think, reflect, ask questions. And if you've got logical arguments which are question-based, open-ended question-based, you can change a closed-minded person to an open-minded person. You know, there's people out there that have phobias for this and phobias for that. I won't eat this and won't eat that. There's people that won't eat things without trying it. I don't even want to try it. Well, that's your closed mind. Okay, fine. You've got to think about going around it another way. There's people that won't buy something because they've got a closed mind, but you've got to think about it another way. How can you not be a tell seller, and how can be someone that finds and establishes a problem with the closed-minded person and then works out a solution to that problem. Because invariably people have light bulb moments. When they realize in their own form of logic, they'll have a light bulb moment, and that light bulb moment will work. So I can give you some examples. Actually, if you want to go offline with this, I'll gladly talk to you over the phone and see if I can help you with this. Okay, yes, you're right. We should be the only one to guide the clients on the products they need and make their lives easy. Absolutely. Find a solution for a problem. Happy days. Craig, how you doing? Pablo, how are you? Okay, guys, come and join me. Any questions you've got, guys, can you do me a favor? Share, 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 share. If you can share, more people get to see it, more value is brought. I ask you that, you get my knowledge and my experience for free, okay? Fair deal? There you go. Is that a fair deal? You share, I give you knowledge. There's the transaction. I benefit because the audience gets bigger. You benefit because you get the knowledge. That is a transaction that works for both buyer and seller in most scenarios. Okay, can we go into the 75-25 rule a bit more? What did we say in the 25%? Yes, Stephanie, absolutely. Okay, let me label this nice and easily. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, but that's what it really means. Shut up talking, shut up telling, start asking open-ended questions that have value. So not closed-ended yes or no answered questions. It's literally ask an open-ended question, let the prospect, suspect, client talk. And with the information they give you, you then use that information to understand their problem, ask them further questions to investigate and learn even more, make the problem clear, make it a bigger problem, make them realize they want to solve the problem now by not telling them anything, by asking them questions, and they will themselves work out that they need to do it and they need to do it now. So when I say 75-25, 3/4 of the time they should be talking. So if you ask a question and it takes 10 seconds to ask the question, then they need 30 seconds to answer the question. Does that make sense? So many salespeople have got verbal diarrhea. Now I know where it comes from. This is where it comes from. Fear, a lack of product knowledge, a lack of professional sales knowledge, okay, and a lack of desire to learn it. So they go into a selling situation and they start to internally get a bit nervous. They start to worry a little bit. And that's because it's the same as, let's say you were an actor and you didn't learn your lines and you went on set. If you didn't learn your lines, you're not going to be able to deliver your lines. And guess what? You're going to fluff it up. The director's going to go, cut! And he's going to go mad because there's loads of people there. When you're in front of somebody and you're selling, you should know your product. Inside out, upside down, back to front. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. You should be an expert in what you do. You should know what all your competitors do. You should make sure you understand the sales process that you use. Inside out, upside down, back to front. You should never tell anybody to do anything. You should always ask people so that they work out. This is done all these times. Watch TV shows where they've got the person on the stand. The lawyers have got the person on the stand. They ask them questions and lead them down a path. They take them down a path until that person gives them the information they want. Selling works in the same way. You've got to help people go down the road. You've got to help them go through the process. And if you do, guess what? The results can be phenomenal. Okay. Hi Marco, how are you? Is that a technical term? Sorry, I just have to get that out sometimes. I'm sorry I swore, but do you know what? Can you just like shut up? Stop talking. Listen, because you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Make sure that you listen. Hopefully that helps. Ramesh Galsam says, I have a client. Okay. Stephanie, just tell me if that helps answer that question for you, please, will you, hun? Ramesh says, I've got a client who's looking for a specific product. I've offered him the exact product he wants. However, he keeps going to other suppliers for the same product. How do I deal with him? Okay. Everybody share your comments on this question too. I have a client who's looking for a specific product. I'd offered him the exact product he wants. However, he keeps going to the other supplier for the same product. How do I deal with him? Ramesh, he doesn't trust you. He trusts the other person more than he trusts you. Or he likes the other person more than he likes you. How are you going to get his business? But trying to go for his business probably won't get you his business. How can you appeal to him from a human level? How can you connect with him as a human being? What are his hobbies? What are his interests? How can you find a way of engaging with him and spending a bit of time with him and building a nice, strong, solid relationship with him? No selling involved. Bonding. Is there a way you can do that? And if you can't, what way could you think of doing that? If he plays golf, could you take him for a round of golf? If he likes certain food, could you take him for lunch? Okay, could you buy him a coffee? Phone him up on his birthday. You might not win him overnight. Phone him up on his birthday, first thing in the morning, and be the first one to wish him happy birthday. Make sure, okay, whenever there's good news that comes from his company, okay, you make sure you share that with other people. Make sure you talk really, really positively about his company. He'll notice it and he'll see it, and eventually he'll come around. But right now, he doesn't like you enough, he doesn't trust you enough. Okay, if the prices are exactly the same, he is going to be going where he's comfortable. Because guess what? It's easier for us to all go where it's comfortable. So make everything more comfortable with you, more warm and fuzzy with you, bond with him, and eventually you have the opportunity to say, please, can I have a go? Give me a chance. And that's what will happen. The guy will go, do you know what? You're a good guy. I like you. I'll give you a chance. Hopefully that's helped answer that one. Be his friend first and sounds to follow. There you go. Be his friend first, sounds to follow. Spot on, mate. Totally agree with that. Okay, totally. Okay, great. Thanks for that, Stephanie. Guys, if you enjoyed yourself, hopefully you have. Please share what I've got. We've been ramming it. Well, it's a long one tonight. Thank you so much for coming to join me. If you want to learn anything else, what I want you to do is on this comments box, tell me what you want me to teach you next week. And I will promise you every Wednesday, 6 p.m, I'll teach you what you want to learn so that you can be better at what you do. My job is to teach you to make it happen. My desire is to help you make it happen. So why don't we right now get out there and make it happen? I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.